Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how you can use one simple enrichment to be able to personalize cold emails or any sort of cold outreach messages for your target prospects with one simple click inside of clay.com. And no, it does not require you to still have to use a bunch of different enrichments like ChatGPT, Clayagent, scraping a bunch of different websites to get all of this random information and only then to figure out that none of this information fits into your old templated version of the message that you wanted to send in the first place. So essentially, let's get started. Worth noting, first of all, that I personally have spent over £500, over $700 in the last week on this specific tool that I'm about to show you. So it's not a sponsored video. It's just something that became possible inside of Clay in the last couple of weeks, I guess. And for whatever reason, no one else is shedding light to this. So I thought I might as well overshare everything that I know about it. So the first step typically will be that you would have sourced your leads, right? After that, what I recommend is for you to go inside of Clay and click on actions. And if you type in Twain, you would be able to see what I'm talking about. So you will see this enrichment which says generate outreach with deep research. You would need to click on that. For that, you would need to connect your own Twain API key. Once again, Twain offers all sorts of free trials. I'll make sure to leave a link down below. Maybe they'll get you a preferential price or an extended free trial. I'll try and bully their founder into anything that I can. And simply put, all you need to do is just click on your name in the bottom left-hand corner, click on API key, and then just copy your API key. At that point in time, you will have your API key connected to Twain. Now, this is where it gets really spicy, and this is where it gets really, really cool. Because what we're able to do now is go inside of Twain and create a campaign. Now, when you create a campaign, you can just click on plus over here, click on campaign. And for this, you can just create a new persona. And this just requires you to just create one new persona, and then you can reuse it later on. And the beautiful part of this is you're basically training this AI copywriting tool to be able to learn everything about your business, about your value proposition, the pain points that you solve, all of that fun stuff. So you have two options. You can either fill out this form manually and you can give it every bit of information about your company, the persona, the pain points that you solve, the cost of an action for your customers, all of this cool stuff. And you can just type this out manually, or you can automatically just input your website URL over here. So let's say something like b2bboosted.com, or actually no, let's do it with unlockclay.com and then over here you can describe your target customer, someone wanting to learn clay.com so that they can implement it for their business. By the way, quick side tangent. I'm not sure you picked up on that, but I just had some grocery delivery come through, so I had to go and sort that out whilst midway through the video. So yeah, apologies for the interruption there, but just wanted to justify that one. And then after that, all we need to do is just click on import personas. And based on that, it should basically just go and scrape the Unlock Clay website, look at the testimonials, look at all the mentions on LinkedIn of Unlock Clay, read through the persona. And obviously that's if we go through the automated manner. If we don't go through the automated way here, we can also fill out a form manually, but you can see it just comes up with a bunch of this. It just summarizes everything. So pain points, cost of an action, objections, competitive advantage, social proof. Wow, so many founders and stuff over here that they found like testimonials from. And then we can click on save persona, and then this will just be called the Clay operator persona, I guess. We can then find a few leads. So in this case, I would probably just add leads manually, but you can also find leads using Twain as well. But for the time being, I'll just upload a couple of leads directly from the Clay table. So let me just find, for instance, Max Mitchum, who obviously runs Triggerify. And then I'm going to add another one, for instance, Alex Liberman, I think as well. I think he's quite famous. Saw him on LinkedIn before, so he's definitely LinkedIn famous. Yeah, so shout out to him if he's watching this, by the way. But yeah, so after that, this should take a couple of seconds to load, and we can then click on continue. Now, the campaign idea is just an idea of that you're basically going to type in what this campaign is all about. So in this case, we can just say, we want to be invited onto their podcast, or to do a webinar together to drive attention to our Unlock Clay course, since they are big in the niche of AI and sales. We think they will be great in order for us to tap into each other's communities. You know, something of that sort. Then we can click on continue. And I know right now you're probably thinking like, oh, hey, but this is, you know, so manual, like you have to go through all of these steps. But trust me, you do this once, and every single time that you want to run a new campaign, you just tick that persona, right? And then after that, configure your sequence. You can either have Twain deciding it for you, or you could customize it. You can then choose what outbound channel you want to create this campaign around. Is it just emails or LinkedIn, or is it both? I'll just choose email for the time being and then click on create campaign. And then let's see what it comes up with, because typically, just so we go through the steps, we sourced the list of leads. Now we created the Twain campaign. After that, it's just a click of a button. But in the meantime, let's just go back to Twain and see what it comes up with. So in this case, it will start by just generating this 3 email sequence for you. Now we can see what email copy Twain came up with at first attempt, and I'm going to read it out to you over here, and I'm going to show you how we can tweak it. So essentially over here it says, "Hey Max, it's been interesting to see your practical workflows in turning social data into sales replies, and how Trigify users move enriched data to Clay for more personalized outreach." Now for context, if I was to write this manually, this is exactly how I would open up, because Max does just talk about social data a lot, every single one of his LinkedIn posts pretty much. And more than that, he talks about how Clay users use Trigify for the social data, and then they push it into Clay for more personalized outreach. So this opening line is spot on. After that, it talks about like your take on social data, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. It talks about an overlap between our audiences of Unlock Clay and Trigify, which is great, with a soft call to action at the end as well. In my opinion, it's a pretty solid like 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10 email, considering that we have not even edited this email at all. We haven't given it any more custom instructions beyond Twain's typical template. So if we are to edit the framework, we could tweak this personalization so it sounds more fluent, it has a bit more flow, and so that it's just so much better. And the way that we would do that is by clicking on edit framework. And over here, you can basically just give it a bunch of instructions in curly brackets, similar to how, you would typically write an email. Aside from here, you can just say, you could open a bracket and say, "Oh, start with this," then and then just basically use curly brackets to break down the email. And then at the very bottom, you can even say, "Generate an email in under 9 lines in total," right? Something of that sort. And then you can click on update step. Fill this in myself, and let me just walk you through what I came up with for this specific template. Now, I've just spent a couple of seconds here generating a super basic email using curly brackets as dynamic variables. So I'm just saying, "Hey, first name, open referencing most relevant recipient insights about AI in sales." And then I can even speak to it like a human and say, "Bonus points if it's a specific post about a topic around Clay and how they use it." Then a casual transition to mention Unlock Clay's audience and how they complement the recipient's audience. Once again, up to you, but in brackets, you can just give it like a summary, more or less like a high level overview of what you want to be saying without saying word for word that exact thing. Then after that, you can click on update step, and this will regenerate the email template for you. And I know right now you may be thinking like, "Hey, it seems like it's a bit nuanced. It's not just clicking a button," but wait until I show you how that looks like inside of Clay, because inside of Clay, it's absolutely insane. And once again, in this case, it says, "It's been interesting to see your practical workflows in turning social data into sales replies, and how Trigify users move enriched data to Clay for more personalized outreach." And once again, after that, even mentions their transition to social data, about their pivot to social data. This is insane. This is the level of personalization you would not achieve anywhere else right now, even if you spend hours trying to template this kind of email. After that, luckily for you, all we need to do is as follows. The first thing is you'll have to connect your your Twain API key. So you'll just copy and paste this Twain API key inside of Clay, then save, and then basically just save your account there. Select the campaign, in which case it will be Clay operator. Input the LinkedIn person profile URL, and on that basis, you can just save and run one row at a time. In this case, I'm just going to run all of them because I want to show you what this final email template final email outreach message would look like. So let's give it a second to load. Now let's have a look at what Twain came up with. So let's have a look at, let's say like Alex Lieberman over here. Let's click on sequence generated. You can see the research that Twain has done for us. So first of all, it's created a bunch of information about the person based on their LinkedIn profile. So this will be the 8 things that are found in the person section. Also, we can see it researched 4 things about the company. So we have the SEO description, the website, the company size, and all this stuff, which basically would have costed you 4 Clay credits or 4 separate enrichment steps inside of Clay otherwise. And that's a nice little shortcut to that. More than that, the subject line is fairly personalized. So it talks about AI agents challenges in the founder's journey. Once again, I probably would pick my own subject line, so not too much of a big deal here. And it has the insights. The insights is the things that basically were found using Twain, and it's basically has this deep research collegiate equivalent that just goes and researches a bunch of the triggers and signals for us. So based on that, he came up with the following messages. Let's just click on message 1. I'll add it as a column, and over here this will be basically email 1 for Alex over here, and let's open it up and have a read. So first of all, the first thing that comes to mind is it's a bit of a long email, so if we do want to shorten it, all we have to do inside of Twain itself is we can just go and click on edit framework, and at the bottom here we can just basically say make it under 8 lines, right? That's if we want to change that. Now let's have a look. So it says, hey Alex, your take on sales as the king of the hill for founders matches what we see every day with Unlock Clay. Once again, I quite like this because this is probably a quote from one of his LinkedIn posts or his podcast or webinar he did or something of that sort. It's pretty cool that it starts with that. Your new work with AI at Distro and the recent I Launched an AI Agent episode made it clear you know the roadblocks of generic outreach and why better tools matter. Once again, nice little transition from observation to kind of pain points or solution, right? Then it talks briefly about Unlock Clay, talks about our users, and then a nice soft call to action. Would a podcast episode or join webinar interest you? In my opinion, this is a pretty good cold email, considering that you still haven't gone through like editing the actual framework. So if you wanted to start by editing the framework straight away, you could just click on edit framework and you can play around here, just prompt it similar to how you would prompt ChatGPT and just put in brackets whatever the instructions are. And it will basically take all of those into account when creating the entire email template. In my opinion, this is really good. I think it's a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 email from the first attempt of doing it. And it's as simple as you going inside of Twain, creating a campaign, creating a persona, and then every single time, whenever you start a new outreach, you may just need to duplicate the old campaign and just click here, click on duplicate, and then you can just tweak the persona and tweak the messaging a tiny bit by editing the framework. In my opinion, it's super, super straightforward. That's why I spent £500 last week on Twain myself, because I thought like, hey, this is unreal. And so I thought it's about time I share this with you. So let's do a quick recap. You have a list of leads, you create a Twain campaign, you choose the deep research enrichment inside of Clay, you run a few rows, and I also came up with a detailed 10-step checklist so you can go along and just tick those along so that you don't get lost in the process. Now, if you want to take me up on that, I will make sure to leave my link down below for Twain. Once again, I'm not directly affiliated with Twain. It's just a random referral link that I generated for myself because I think a lot of the people that are inside of the Unlock Clay community that I have right now may be interested in the tool. And for that reason, if you want to take me up on that, I'll make sure to leave the link underneath the video alongside this checklist so you can download it for yourself and see it for yourself. Now, if you made it this far and if you have any questions on this, let me know. Do leave a nice comment down below if you enjoyed this video. Do leave in any questions as well. Subscribe to the channel. And last but not least, if you watch this far, the chances are, if you're not inside of Unlock Clay, you probably should be inside because there are over 300. I think it's over 282 members to be precise right now, but there will be over 300 in a week or so at this rate. So if you want to take me up on that, go check out Unlock Clay. We just changed our landing page, our website a tiny bit. We also have a community behind it as well now. So if you want to check out the community, I'm not going to actually talk about it too much, but we have a nice little community going here as well. So that's another perk of joining this Unlock Clay course. Other than that, I'll see you inside of Unlock Clay. All the links will be down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.